Scientific notation is a mathematical expression used to represent a decimal number where n is an exponent and the a value has to be at least 1 but less than 10. So you can write numbers with many digits. So if you had 0.00000000000, instead of 5, instead of writing all those digits, you can write this as, move the decimal over, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Move the decimal over 12 times to write it instead as 5 times 10 to the negative 12. So it's a negative number when it's a decimal that's less than 1, but if it's a number that is a much greater number, such as 6 million, then you can write it as 6 times 10 to the, now let's move the decimal. The decimal's right here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 times 10 to the 6th. So when the numbers are small, you do a negative exponent, and when there's very large, you use a positive exponent. So part 1, write each of these following numbers in scientific notation. So I'm going to move the decimal over. I want the decimal such that the number out front is going to be at least 1 but less than 10. So I need to move the decimal right to here. So that's going to be 1, 2, 3. So this number is going to be 6.2 times 10 to the negative 3. Okay, letter B. I want the decimal is right here, and I need to move it over to here. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it's 3.08 times 10 to the 6th power. Then letter C, I want to move the decimal so it's right here. So this number is going to be at least 1 but less than 10. So if I move it over 1, 2, it's going to be 2.34 times 10 to the negative 2. And then D, the decimal is right here. So I'm going to move it 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's 4 times 10 to the 4th power. So this is writing it in standard or scientific notation. Now you should be able to write it in standard notation. So standard notation is, you already have scientific notation, so you're going to have to move the decimal. So because this number is a positive, I'm going to make this number greater. So to make this number greater, I'm going to have to move the decimal over this way 4 times. So I'm going to write it 9.4, and now I'm going to move the decimal over 4 times. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So just to not be sloppy and have a decimal in my answer, I'm going to rewrite this as 94,000. Now this way, if I have 9.4 times 10 to the negative 4, I'm going to move the decimal over so the number becomes smaller. 1, so I'm going to move it over 1, 2, 3, 4, put a decimal symbol, and I'm going to fill in these with zeros. So just to be neater, I'm going to write it off to the side as 0.00094. Okay, letter C, 3.2 times 10 to the negative 6. So 3.2 times 10 to the negative 6. So I'm going to move it over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Put a dot. So this is going to be, fill these with zeros. You're going to have 0.1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 3, 2. And then letter D, 4.12 times 10 to the negative 2. Move it over, 1, 2. So it's going to put a 0 in here, so it's going to be 0.0412. So make sure you can go back and forth standard to scientific notation. Which of these numbers is not written in scientific notation? Or explain why each of these. So this one is not, because this number is not between 1 and 10. The number needs to be at least 1 and less than 10. B is not, because you have, it's written in base 9. It should be 10 to the 12th power. And then C is not, because you're missing a multiplication symbol. So for scientific notation, the number needs to be between at least 1 less than 10. You need a multiplication sign, and then you need times 10 to the whatever power. So it needs to take that format. And then the last part, we're just going to go over a new multiplication rule. When we multiply like bases, we add the exponents. So you're going to multiply the coefficients and add the exponents. So this is what it looks like. If you had to multiply x to the 7th times x cubed, it would look like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That represents x to the 7th. 1, 2, 3. That represents x to the 3rd. So in total, you have x to the 10th. So you're going to add the exponents. So second example, you're going to multiply the coefficients. So it's going to be negative 12. And you're going to add the exponents, which is that have like bases. So it's going to be w to the 3rd. So example A, you're going to add the exponents with like bases. So this is n to the 11th. B, we have the base w, or y, so we're going to add the exponent to get y to the 4th. C looks a lot more complicated, but you don't even need these parentheses. So this is just going to be a to the 1. That's a 1 power. It helps me to write it so I don't miss it. B to the 1, C to the 1, A squared, B cubed. So if it doesn't have an exponent, it's going to be a 1. So I'm going to write out the 1. Then I'm going to add the exponents of the bases that are like bases. So this is A cubed, B4, and then C. So I'm just going to stay over and do E. So E, look at the coefficients. I only have negative 1. Then this is a 1 for my exponent for the M. So if I look at the M's, I have M1, M5. So that's going to be M6. And then I have N3, N negative 2. So that's going to be N to the 1. Or I don't even need to write N to the 1. For F, I don't need these parentheses, so I'm just going to write G to the 1, H to the negative 3, G to the 1, H to the 1. So that's going to turn into G to the 2nd, H to the negative 2. But you want to write with positive exponents, so this is going to be G to the 2nd over H to the 2nd. And then letter G, I don't need any of these parentheses. So this is 5 times x1, y1 times negative 3, x1, y1 times 2x1, y1. So I'm going to multiply 5 times negative 3 times 2. So 5 times negative 3 times 2 is negative 30. You multiply the coefficients, and then you're going to add the exponents. So I have x3, y3. And then letter D, This v to the 0 is 1, so it's just 1 times v to the 7th, which is v to the 7th. And then letter H, I don't even need to write these with parentheses, so I'm going to write it like this. 2 times 10 to the negative third times 4 times 10 to the 6th. So 2 times, think of these as coefficients. So this is going to be 8 times 10 to the, now add the exponents to the third power. So the answer is 8 times 10 to the third power.